George Masvidal came out, he said, then give me my release. Now, George is just showing some frustration. George is a very happy guy. Here's the thing that you guys may not know about George Masvidal. This might catch you off guard. George Masvidal's a smart guy. George Masvidal is this street guy, and he's a tough guy, and that's how you know him and all these things. But if you ever visit with him, he's a pretty well-read guy. I mean, he'll break some stuff out on you out of nowhere about philosophy, or he'll break some stuff about coaching and mentalities. He'll bring up politics at times. And you look back and go, man, this guy studies. He kind of knows what he's talking about. So here's Masvidal's case. When he said he wanted a release, he said, you don't want to pay me as much as I made last time. Stop right there. Stop right there. That's a very real thing. And it's a very real psychological problem. Most of us in life are rewarded financially for a job well done. This sport isn't all that different as a broad stroke, as a 97% true statement, but that other 3%, you do have to be very cognizant of where the business comes from. If you don't have a good partner across from you, business is going to be different. If you don't have a championship across from you, and you did have a championship in a previous match, you're not going to be rewarded the same. But psychologically, you're going, wait a minute, I'm doing the same thing. And by the way, I'm the one that won that fight. Had I lost the fight, maybe we're having a different conversation, but I won that fight. Now, those arguments all have holes in them. But for George to reveal to you that this is the way his mind is working and he can't feel anything short of insulted by doing the same job in the same placement of the card, which is the top of the damn bill, you better believe that's where Masvidal's sitting, but to not get the same incentive and or prize is a problem. Okay, now let's look at the second part of his thought. He said, why should I be punished because my opponent can't draw? Now, what he's talking about is my opponent is in fact my partner. Yeah, there's a competitive side to this, and yes, we're all trying to claim the ranks and achieve some championships, but at the same time, if I'm doing equal work, why should I be brought down because of him? Now, that also argument, while psychologically makes sense, and that's the place that George is in, the argument has a lot of holes in it, right? And you don't ever want to look at it as I'm going down. The people are the ones that decide. The fans are the ones that decide. If Masvidal or any other fighter today, we're talking about Masvidal, ever felt that way, and he tries to take that frustration out on the promoter, he would be using the right frustration. He would taking it out on the wrong person. The promoter's not the one that buys the show. The promoter's not the one that grabs a t-shirt on the way out. The promoter's not the one that goes to the chat rooms, that makes videos and talks to everybody. It's the fan. So George's frustration and his questioning of it is fine. But then he's got to bring it to the fan, because the fan is the one that ultimately is not as amped up or is not going to the party or throwing the party or pushing the buy button at ESPN. That is not the promoter. So he's got the right anger. He's asking the right questions. He's directing it the wrong place. It's very tough to do. Easy for me to sit here. I'm in air conditioning. I got a soda pop sitting next to me. I'm in a comfy chair. Very easy for me. But I'm still right. I'm right in telling you that you don't want to look at it as a demotion. You don't want to look at it as though you're going backwards. You want to look at it as a partnership. Your opponent, no matter how much you disdain that person, is your partner. And if they're not doing their job, maybe you need to come at it from a different angle. Maybe you need to put a foot up their ass. George is a prize fighter looking for money, but if he gets an opponent that's not, he may not have that same help. Look, that might surprise you, but there's a lot of guys that aren't prize fighters. They're competitors. That comes with a prize. They're a competitor. First and foremost, a Ben Askren type would come to mind. Old Henry Cejudo, not meant as a knock on Henry, but old Henry was a competitor. Now he's looking for the prize. I only suggest that for you because over the course of things, it all starts to work out. Right? There was nights where George Masvidal was fighting in a backyard. He didn't get anything. But at that time in his life, that's what he wanted to do, and just mentally he was in a different place. When you have Nate Diaz, you have something very special. Conor McGregor came out with the term red panty night, and he used it as a slang and a colloquialism and a joke. But Conor McGregor really is making a very fair point, which is if you're my partner that night, this is a celebration and something wonderful is going to happen. I'm not going to get a benefit from you, but I sure as hell can change your life. Now, the condescendingness of that statement is what makes it memorable, but Conor is right about that. And in many ways, George, I would hope, can see and realize that Nate Diaz did something for him. Nate Diaz called George out. George wanted that so bad. Oh, he wanted it so bad, and he got it. And now in this sport, what you do once you get up in the loft is you leave the ladder down and you help somebody else to climb up. That's now the spot that George is in. And I realize that that might not have the financial benefit, but it has to come with something. Because this is a group, and this is a group that's made it through ideals. It's made it through bureaucracies. It's made it through legal changes. I mean, this is a group that has had to band together. And if we have infighting, we got to go out and compete under the unified rules. Okay, fine, but don't ever forget the bigger picture. And possibly, yes, George doesn't get to be as selfish. The very thing that Nate did for him, George is now in a spot to do for somebody else. That can be a tougher mindset to get to, but I will assure you that is a very rewarding thing. And if George has to go out and whip that guy as a way of setting up what's next for him, and then he does have the right dance partner. Pretty soon, sooner or later, Conor McGregor himself just might come to the table. And George is going to make more money. George cannot mistake that money for him, though. Sometimes you're the A side, sometimes you're the B side. You go out there and get the jump on Conor like he did on Nate. You take that shine, you go run with it. George is not doing this wrong. George really is not quite to the point of being annoying. He's not. He's well thought out. George is a smart guy. He really is. Deserves some credit for that. You ever talk to Masvidal privately? There's a lot more to him. He has a lot of interests you guys don't know about. He's very curious in a lot of different areas. He has hobbies that would really surprise you, but I only share with you on this one thing. He does need to look at it kind of like the chains in football. Yeah, they're not perfect, but they're not perfect for the other side either. And over the course of the game, at least in theory, they even themselves out. Yeah, you're going to have those big nights and you're going to have that great dance partner, but you are going to be propelled. Neither George nor Nate get credit for putting that fight at MSG. They don't get credit for world leaders showing up. They don't get credit for The Rock being involved. They don't get credit for a championship known as the BMF coming to the table or all of the people that filled up the Mecca, which is Madison Square Garden, and doing a record gate. They don't. They don't get credit for people sitting down and pushing the button. They don't get credit for that. Other people made those things happen. Other people deserve a little bit of that. So you don't get to grab all of the shine and say, how dare you not give me even more? Of course we want more. Greed is real. Being a team player is also real. Returning that commodity to the fans is very real. And a fighter only has one commodity, which is his performance. Returning that to the promotion, the industry, making sure you put the sport in front of yourself is a very real thing. George isn't doing anything wrong, but he's close. He is close. George is starting to walk the line of being that guy. Don't be that guy. He's in the loft right now. He is the champion. He's got the look. He's got the swag. He's got the people behind him, but they are supporting him in all directions, including his tequila brand. I mean, not for nothing. George has decided he wants to take some of his brand and go in a different direction, and the people came along, and it wasn't because that swill tasted good. Because George is doing it, and you want to back him. Every now and then, George, you got to give back.